how do you work with the Tourism Vancouver and the destination organizations and partnerships that have built a lot of the business in Vancouver in the hotel industry for tourism?
Well, we're pretty connected and engaged. I go to like a lot of the meetings and things like that. There's a big push now for Tourism Vancouver to go to China. They're doing quite a few initiatives there. We look at China as being a very good thing for us. We're working with China Eastern and China Air on the direct flights into Vancouver on a couple of initiatives there. So we've connected through our contacts in Asia with them. We're working with the Canadian tourism in Beijing. I was there on a recent visit and had a meeting with them about how we can foster better relationships there. So that's pretty much what we're focused in. Again, for me personally, it's really not about us necessarily as a destination. I always think that it's about the destination, and I'll do everything I can. We have a lot of, like, for example, familiarization trips that come. Some of that's convention-based business, and while I'm not a convention hotel, my owners have a convention hotel, so I try to support that, because whenever conventions come, especially citywide conventions, we benefit from that as well, because the compression in the city, and that gets the rates up and that gets everything. I think every time there's a citywide hotel, the average occupancy of a downtown hotel goes up about 10% for a hotel 300 rooms and above, and it goes up about 6% for hotels that are 300 rooms and above. So my occupancy benefits about 6% from having a large convention in the hotel, whether that's from compression or whether that's getting part of that business. So it's up to me to make sure that I support that business. One way we do that is obviously we're the tax collector for the hotel funds which go to Tourism Vancouver. 90% of the budget of Tourism Vancouver is funded by the hotel tax. So that's my part of, I'm just the collector of that. So we also engage with them as far as how they use that money. That's a little bit more difficult, and I think the hotel associations right now, because that was a bit of a factious situation many years back, I think everybody's back together now, and I think we've got some good leadership there in order to get everybody on board with selling the destination first. And if that's done and people come to Vancouver, everybody will get their share of the pie. And then it's up to everybody to compete, as far as rate. But my hotel, I don't necessarily compete on rate. I compete on product and the guest experience, and that's the difference. Of course, I'm in a 119-room hotel. If I was in a bigger convention hotel, I might have to compete a little bit more on price, especially if I had an older hotel. But my proposition now is to make sure that we are the market leader. We are the market leader on RevPAR, and our guest experience, ratings. In Shangri-La hotels worldwide, our hotel in Vancouver, I have the highest overall stay experience score of anybody. And when we break it down into the attributes of the core values we talked about, as far as helpfulness, courtesy, respect, sincerity, all those things, right up there at the top. Our people really have gotten on board with the attributes as far as what it takes to be a top hotel and what it takes to be a heartwarming family. And we're pretty pleased with that. Everybody asks me, what's the secret? And I usually tell them the same thing, which is that, you have to engage and connect the culture to the people who are at the touch points, and if they can do that. But also, the people that are working in the heart of the house also have to be doing that with their colleagues. And that has to transcend from the heart out to the front. And if you can do that, people are going to get a pretty good emotional connection. And again, that's where we really feel we make the difference. We make emotional connections with people. It's not a business transaction. We're not just doing our job because you're paying us to stay in our hotel. We're doing our job because we're a family and we want you to be part of our family. And that's really the difference. Okay. Yes, sir.
Being a new hotel chain in Canada, what are you doing to attract and sustain educated, talented employees?
Well, our internal training programs that I mentioned, I've got a couple of trainees. We have 6 people in our hotel right now that were North American Tigers, and then they came back. 3 of them, by the end of this summer, they will go back probably to Asia because I won't be able to sustain their payroll as managers after the summer season, because then the occupancy will drop come in October, and I'll have to start shedding a bit of payroll. So we're actually positioning them to go. My training manager and quality assurance manager is going to China, and he's on a 3-month secondment there to a hotel in Xi'an, which is one of our hotels up in the northern part of China, where they have the Terracotta Warriors. He is a graduate of Capilano as well, Varun, and he's going to go be doing that. But we have a whole bunch of other people that we're sort of got lined up for training plans. We have a very tried and true process of succession planning, where we have a whole list of people in their current positions, and then after that we list everybody who we think is capable of stepping up. So what we've done is we've actually identified on the rank and file level what we call leads. So we actually have a lead concierge, we have a lead front office, we have 2 lead front office, we have a couple in food and beverage, we have 1 in banquets. These are people that we expect to step up, and what we're doing right now is we're putting them through what we call our SUPEX program, which is Supervisory Excellence, where we actually teach them supervisory skills. In most environments, unfortunately what happens in a hotel is that either senior employees get moved up because they've been there the longest and it's time for you now to be the manager. Or you just get promoted because you're in the right place at the right time, but you haven't ever been really through that whole process of learning what it is to be a supervisor and how you should be managing people. And that leads to turnover. So what we try to do to avoid that, because there's an old saying, do people leave jobs or do they leave bosses? In most cases, they actually leave their boss. Okay? Now, in your generation, unfortunately, I've had a lot of people come up and say, boss, I love you. I love Shangri-La, but I got to go. And they do, because they see something bigger and brighter, or they got an opportunity maybe to travel, or maybe just to stop working for a while and travel. And that's what I love about your generation. But it's also sometimes a little frustrating to have people tell you that they really love working for you, but they got to go. But that's the reality sometimes of what we face. My job is to make sure that everybody's connected and engaged so they want to stay with the company, so I can develop as many people as possible. I guess it all comes down to how do you want to be remembered as a manager. I hope that one day that I'll be remembered as a hotelier as someone who has helped people achieve their career goals by making sure that they not only embrace the culture, but they stayed with the culture long enough. And even if they left us, they can still reach their aspirations. But I don't want anybody to remember me for being a good revenue manager, or being a good marketing guy, or being a good food and beverage director. For me, that's not, nobody will ever. I was an apprentice chef for a while. No one will ever remember me for being a good cook. And that's why I became a general manager, because I didn't have the talent to sustain a career in the kitchen. But I hope people would remember me as for being a teacher, a mentor, somebody who gave more than they expected back. That's my goal anyway. But it's tough. It's tough. It's one of the most frustrating parts of our business, the turnover. Yes.
Since you mentioned destination, and since you talked about food and beverage, I'm going to ask you a very important question. How's your Canadian wine, particularly the way you're on this?
It's actually pretty strong. It's pretty strong. We have a very, very good selection. Yeah, it's very, very strong. In fact, I'm supposed to go to the Okanagan for the long weekend because I want to learn more about BC wines. But we have a very, very strong BC wines. Our sommelier, David, he took over the program from another guy who did a very, very good job setting the foundation. David is actually from the Okanagan, and he's done a wonderful job there. Most of our wines by the glass are BC wines. You have to have a mix of imported. People expect a little bit of French, a little bit of Italian, some of that American stuff. From Napa, Australian wines are pretty fantastic. But most of it's BC, especially our lobby lounge. We do a nice component there. It's very good. They have some great wines here. I think it's really up and coming. I think it's something. In fact, one of my friends from Australia, who's a winemaker in Australia, Bruce Terrell, he actually came through Vancouver. He stayed with me. He went up to Mission Hills because of the winemaker there. She is from New Zealand. Used to work for her at Terrell's in New South Wales in the Hunter Valley. So he knows her, and he came up to do some consulting. So